it's Sammy from Sammy's Sweet Life, and we are doing an INKY update. My stomach will not stop growling. I don't know why. It's like almost lunchtime, but not that close to lunchtime. So you might hear some grumbling. It's like anytime I start talking, my stomach goes off. So this is an INKY update. I have a couple of INKY updates for you guys. I've outlined like various pins and things. I just want to share where I'm at in my ink journey and talk a little bit about it because it's been a little over a year now since I joined the fountain ink community, the fountain ink fun. And I have 5 fountain ink pens now, and I have like 3 on my wish list right now currently. And let me tell you, I have 3 cartridge converters. I don't like them nearly as much. They do have positives and negatives to each style. I really like the piston fillers because you can put a lot of ink in these puppies. But also, the cartridge converters are really nice to be able to fill up. I did end up getting some ink syringes, like not pointy syringes, so you can suck the ink out of the little vials because I have mostly just ink samples. I can't say I only have ink samples now. I have 3 bottles of actual ink, but sometimes they get really low, and when you're sucking the ink up, if the ink isn't up to a certain place on here, it will just suck up a lot of air. It won't actually suck up the ink. And there goes my stomach again. Oh my gosh, it's so annoying. It's like, it feels like back like in high school and you're like taking a test and your stomach won't stop growling, or you get like a coughing attack during a test randomly, like you just breathe or swallow wrong and you start coughing like a maniac. This is like that. I'm like, I'm trying to film and my stomach will not be quiet. So annoying. Anyway, I already chopped my videos up a bunch because I'm awkward and like say things wrong, I have to repeat things a lot. But this one's gonna be even worse because I'm cutting out stomach gurgles, which is crazy. Let's try to be serious, like regrouping here. I have a lot of these ink samples. I don't know how many, but it's a lot. It's filling up basically my whole little ink shelf that I purchased. I've gone way off the deep end. I bought extras even. I bought like 26-ish extra ones recently from Van Ness, and that was because I was going to do my own Inkvent calendar. Now, I have already used a couple of those inks, but there are tons of inks in my collection that I have not used yet except for swatching, and so I'm going to do an Inkvent, a DIY Inkvent. I just found that I don't like being surprised, so that was part of me not sticking with an actual Inkvent calendar, which I'm saying this now and then you're going to freak out when I show you guys the next thing I want to show you, but I thought I would do my own Inkvent. I have 5 pens now though, so that would be me refilling 1 pen a day, or potentially like setting up 5 at a time, like emptying all of them, cleaning all of them, filling up all of them, 5, and then every 5 days I would do the same kind of process. I'm leaning more towards just doing 1 ink pen at a time because I feel like that's way more fun to do that. I really enjoyed doing the inks for December last year, so yeah, lots of new inks. I have tons of inks to still use, and this one I filled up. Which pen was this? The Key West Narwhal pen. And I have a little bit left in here, so I'll probably like use whatever's in here and fill it up one more time to get rid of this sample, but I'm trying to make my way through samples as I'm going as well. And if it's a color or formulation I don't love, like I have a lot of Noodler's inks that I just cannot stand. They're weird. I have just added them to my ink swatching book, so I've gotten rid of quite a few Noodler's inks in particular. I have the same little A5 book from Hubman and Chubgirl. It's just a dot grid that I used for 2023. I'm going to use it again for 2024 and may even be able to fit 2025 in there. I don't have it to flip through right now, but when it comes down to ink time, Inkvent time, I will show you guys how that's set up. So there's my ink pen collection. I've talked about each one of those in various videos, and I plan on reviewing each one or doing like an ultimate beginner review type video coming up very soon for you guys. So also, now that I have more pens, I want to have a currently inked page, and I was just playing around last night in the doodles by Just Scribble. So this is a blank TRP journal. I've not really gotten much blank anything because I really need lines or grids or dot grids or something. So this is kind of intimidating for me. So I played around with inking it up last night. Where's my page? I tested out. I have an ink that works really nicely with Copic markers, which are alcohol based. I was hoping it would work nicely also with the fountain ink, so I swatched it and it worked great. This is the Memento Tuxedo Black. Memento has other colors that will also do the same function. So if you want a brown ink or like a really light colored ink, you can totally do that with any of these Memento inks. Fade resistant dye ink, and they just work great. I use this for Copic coloring in scrapbooking and card making a ton. And so I was thinking about when I was doing this, I want to get using more stamps. So I pulled out some colorful stamps to test out how much they would sink in. And probably with all that ghosting, I'd probably not use the other side of the paper. Again, this was a dye ink. They do kind of soak into the paper, so it will be a situation where I will do some stamping, but I'll make sure the back page is not something I need. So like on a week-to-week spread, that's not going to be a possibility because I will need the other spread for the next week. I'm playing around thinking about that aspect of it, but for swatching, stamps with Memento work great. So I did swatch. I was coloring like specifically using my brush over the edges to see if I could mess up the black ink, and it worked fine. It looks great. You can see no bleeding at all whatsoever. Now the other side, of course, is ghosting and stuff, but fountain inks hold up pretty decently to paper generally, except in the case like they're really soaked in, which we're going to talk about here. And I set this up in a way, before I show you my page, I set this up in a way that I can change it seasonally, which you'll see what I'm talking about, and also in a way that I'm not going to need the back page. So I set it up as a 2-page spread, but then I'll flip and not use the next 2-page spread. So here we go. Here's the beginning of it. I will put something else on this page as a title page, like just cover this with something else. But look, it's pumpkins for November. I got this cute little stamp set. It's from Recollections, Michael's. I'll insert a clip of it on the screen for you guys. So editing Sammy here, these are called clickable uppercase stamp set or clickable lowercase stamp set. There are lowercase ones, and there's also one other set. I just really liked the typewriter. The appeal to these is they click together, but not only that, you get multiples of the same letters, so you can really spell out a bunch of things. That's how I put these letters on. Of course, there's tons of stamps that say the months, but not a whole lot that are going to say inks. I have a Coffee Monsters Co. little stamp here. I Copic colored this and the leaf, so it is alcohol based. It's going to bleed right through the paper. You can see alcohol based inks will bleed completely through the paper. And then I stamped some cute little pumpkins. These are from Lawn Fawn, which happens to be a really, really cutesy stamp set company. They make stamps, inks, washi, all sorts of things like for card making, also metal dies to cut out shapes and things. But I found this cute little pumpkin in my collection. I have tons of stamps because I started out as a scrapbooker card maker. So I just picked one that was super cute, and I colored the little stem with a Copic marker, which again, alcohol based. And then these are my ink swatches on the actual pumpkins themselves. And because this page is not lined or gridded or anything, I used a pencil board. Now, I could line this up, and I don't know if you guys can see it, but I can see behind it really easily because this paper is so thin. I can use the pencil board and make my own lines, and it worked perfectly. So I thought about maybe stamping lines because I have some stamps that have lines, but I didn't want it to be, I don't know, just too much. I thought this one worked way better for that. And because I was Copic coloring also, I don't want the Copic ink to necessarily bleed through to the next page. Of course, it's going to bleed through this paper, but I didn't want it bleeding on the next paper. So I think having a pencil board behind it is going to keep the other pages safe. Now, I had done a pen test, and I don't know if that's going up before or after this one, but it's like my ultimate ink pen test number 2. This is the ink that totally bled through a ton. It's feathering, it's bleeding through a ton. It doesn't matter what TRP paper it's on, it bleeds through. And like this, all of this outside the edge is bleed through. Like the rest of them, they didn't really feather or anything that much. And I did color outside the lines. I'm not going to make it look perfect, but this was really excessive bleed outside of that. So that's just something to note. It's an ink that feathers quite a bit. You can actually see it in there. You can actually see the feathering quite a bit. So it is just not a great ink to begin with. It's just an ink that has not performed well for me at all whatsoever. So when it bled through the paper, it's just typical. Like these are bleeding through in these big giant chunks, but there's not much bleed through anywhere else. Like a tiny little piece here and there, and that's it. Like excessive ink will pool and bleed through, not a big deal. But this ink, not a good ink for TRP paper. But I love that I can just put that behind it, write my little ink swatches. So I'm doing this as a kind of like a currently inked. This is what's inked up the beginning of November, but I will change my inks out. I'm not going to stick with these 5 inks necessarily all month long. I might, but I'm not holding myself to that. And this page is going to be where I swatch any other colors that I change out my pens with. So I'll swatch these out and probably not stamp them out. Like this, I wanted to be a cute little page. This is just going to be kind of like a running list. So I'll use my pencil board, make my little swatch, maybe even just like do a little heart and then write each one in. I don't know how many times I'll change my ink. So this is the experimental part. All of this was also experimental, like setting it up and seeing if it's something I could do, where like I have tons of stamps, tons of seasonal stamps. December 1 can be totally Christmassy or wintry and look super cute with different shapes. Like this is pumpkins because it's November. It just fit really nicely. So this is going to be my rest of November inks and potentially writing a little blurb about them. I don't know yet. That's the experimental part. I will skip these pages because I'll have bleed through, and then this will be my December page potentially. And also, I'm not holding myself to that because I might want to stamp in here and do some coloring. I could do like stamp whatever I want to stamp and do a little bit of watercoloring on them, or use my Copics in here. I haven't really decided how much I'm going to use this, but I do want to play around with adding more stamps and Copic coloring to my planners. I love stamps, I love Copic coloring, but I can't do this on a day-to-day page because the Copic colors go all the way through. It's alcohol based, they're gonna just go right through the paper. Like I won't do this on a weekly spread, you know, I'm not gonna add a bunch of swatches to a weekly spread, but I'll write. And the writing is totally fine except like the occasional weird one. I think this is the first one I've had that bled significantly, but I can't do this on a week-to-week or a daily page because the back's gonna look like crud. But I thought I have a tiny little A6 notebook. I can also take pages out of here. So I can stamp, take pages out of here, fussy cut, glue things into a planner. So that's kind of where this is headed. It's like, I want to do more stamping and inking. Got an ink that works great with the fountain inks, also with the Copic coloring. So I might take some of these pages out and use them in that way as well. Because the Copic paper I use, actually I took all my Copic stuff downstairs because I was playing around with it last night. But it's thick cardstock paper, and I don't want to bulk up my planner with tons of that because, you know, I want the pages to still be nice and light, but I could totally adhere this in with not adding much bulk at all. So my plan for this moving forward, setting up an ink page minimum, and then maximally taking out pages, and also stamping in here and just playing around. Like if I want to do some pretty stamping, I'm going to do some pretty stamping. Like these snowflakes, where do they go? These snowflakes are so pretty. I have so many little decorative snowflakes. I could decorate some of these pages and just use ink sampling. I don't know how I'm going to use it all together, but that's what I know so far. Is I really love this setup to have like 5 different inks at the beginning of the month. Super duper cute. So that's where it is. I kind of picked colors that worked nicely for November. Not all traditional colors, like a pink. The purple's kind of a muted purple, but the pink kind of sticks out. I'm still testing out the black, which I love this color. I get just the little subtlest bit of glitter there, but I kind of want a whole bottle of that one. So I'll try out my other black inks or dark gray inks and see what I like the best. But so far this one, just loving it as far as a basic black ink to use. So there you go. There's my whole inky thought process moving in. And now I told you guys are going to flip when you see the next thing, right? I said, I'm going to make my own Inkvent. I bought the Inkvents, like 26. I think I had 26 in that order, but I have plenty to use from because I did pull some of those and use them. I got tons of inks that I can set up my own Inkvent. And then what did I do? I also bought an Inkvent. Oh my gosh. I'm going to also be Inkventing with the Color Vent calendar from Colorverse. Now, I did not get the Diamine Inkvent. I thought about it seriously because the colors were really nice, but there were too many colors I didn't love in order to justify getting the entire thing. Like I can purchase the colors that I love from other people. People will sell off things. Some companies will do ink samples for things from the Inkvent calendars. I don't have to have that whole entire calendar. Whereas I saw people swatching this one and I'm like, ooh girl, I like those ones. And this one's even more expensive than the Diamine one. I used a coupon, got this one from Van S. Okay, so with my coupon, I paid $171 for this, which is a lot. It's a lot of money. The bottles of ink are way too big. Let's see, does it say on here? It doesn't say right on the front here. This is the box. It's shipped in a bigger box. This is a box within a box within a box, triple boxed. So it was packaged up really nicely. I really like ordering from Van Ness. They got great customer service. It doesn't say on here either. So this is just Colorverse 2024 Color Vent Calendar. It's an Inkvent, just like Diamine. We're gonna open this box up. But Mike always signs my little sheets, which I love. Trying not to show anything else. He always signs my little sheets, which is super cute. I really, really like their company. I purchased lots of samples from them. And I've also noticed, before we get to this, I've also noticed I do like their ink samples better than the smaller ink samples. They'll do 4 ml samples, and I get some that are 2 and 3, and they seem too small, and the pens don't fit down in the barrel. So I prefer bigger samples, the 4 ml samples, because it gives me more to fill up my pen. Like I said, you're gonna freak. It was so expensive. It came in, I told my husband, I said, I loved pretty much every single color in this calendar. Like so many beautiful colors. I was shocked how much I loved it, because every year with the Diamine one, I'm like, ooh, you know, I like half the colors, where I would like totally purchase them outright separately. This one I was like, ooh guys, I like 22 out of the 24 colors. It was a lot of colors, most of the colors. And it's so cute. Look at his face. Both of my kids still love space stuff. So it was packaged nicely. It was within 3 boxes. So here's the third and final box. Now I'm not going to open this early and swatch it or anything. I'll link to the video I watched, and he swatched all of them, talked about them, told you everything about them, showed them dry too. I'm going to rant. I hate when people swatch things and then don't let them completely dry and then end the video. Like, hello, I want to see the dried sample. Show me the dried sample. It just irritates me so much when they're like, okay, here are my swatches, goodbye. I'm like, they're still wet. They look totally different dry sometimes. So they swatched them all. They were all dry at the end, showing you all the properties, and I'm hooked. So the numbers are not in order, and it is through 24, so you don't get one for actual Christmas Day. The Diamine one does give you one for actual Christmas Day, but I don't think that's a deal breaker. People are mostly busy on Christmas Day anyway, so it's fine. This one goes to 24. Boxes looked relatively easy to open. It's just gonna be on my desk, and I'm gonna have so much fun. And it's so hard. I came at the beginning of November or end of October. I was showing my husband, and he's like rolling his eyes. He's like, really? Like, I see your wall of ink samples right there. And you got more ink, and these are mini bottles. They're either 10 or 15. They're small, but they're still bottles. So I'm like, oh, I should probably not have done this and just stuck with these because they're smaller, but I loved all these colors, and I was like, oh, I just love it so much. So this is my Christmas present to myself, and we're gonna do Inkvent ×2, because I'm gonna do this Inkvent and I'm gonna make my own sample Inkvent and use some of my samples. So it's gonna be 2 colors a day for the month of December. Now, I don't know how I'm gonna do that for you guys. I don't know if I'm gonna do a full-on Vlogmas like I did last year. It will not be with tons of giveaways, because that was so hard to coordinate. Some people didn't even write to me to get their giveaways, and it was very expensive to ship everything out, and it was a lot. So I'm not doing that, but I definitely will be ink venting in some way with you guys, and maybe posting it like every week chunks or every couple days chunks. I don't know if I'm committing to a video every day, because that was a lot of work, but I kind of want to also. So we might go there again. We'll see. For now, I just wanted to tell you guys all my inky goodness, the Inkvent, the currently inked pages, the actual inks, the good ink I found that worked really nicely with the fountain inks, and then my ever-growing pen collection. In 1 year I got to 5 pens, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, since getting into the fountain pens and now having like multiple colors to choose from on a day-to-day basis, I hardly ever touch any other pen besides a black pen, a dot pen, a highlighter. You guys know I have tons of pens. I was like, oh, I feel like I'm totally neglecting my other pen babies. Oh yeah, a brush pen here and there. I don't even have my black pen in here, but I've got like 1 black pen I've been using, a dot pen. Right now I have 2 in this little pen pouch. By the way, this is Laurel Denise pen pouch. Super cute. I'll leave a link to it down below. I think I have a coupon code with them. But I got eyeliners, brush pens, 1 pen I think actually has a black ink in it. Nope, it's a pink. one pink pen, but I haven't used any other pens hardly at all. I've been just really strictly sticking to these, and then one black pen, and then like, you know, colorful highlighters and things. I just love them. I have more found ink pens on my list. So there you go. There's my whole ink journey thoughts. Take with it what you will. It's just a chatty family ink video for you guys. I hope you guys liked it. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow me along. We will have a lot of inky goodness coming up in December specifically, but probably in November I might end up doing the pen reviews as well, because I do want to talk about the pens. I have thoughts about all 5 of these pens actually. As a 1 year in, I'm still very much a fountain pen beginner. I'll tell you my thoughts about fountain pen beginner goodness. And yeah, that's it. I hope you guys liked it. Like, subscribe, follow me along, and I will catch you next time. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Okay, inserting a quick clip back in because I didn't have this with me at the time, but this is what I meant by Hobonichi papers. It has the cute design at the bottom, but this is just blank papers, and these do come out really easily. I'm not going to pull one out right now, but they just pull right out, and this would be a great little place to stamp some images, and then I can fussy cut around them or use dies to cut around them, and then adhere them in whatever planner that I'm using that's TRP paper. I hesitate, 2 reasons. I hesitate to stamp on the regular TRP paper. For instance, I'll just pull out this one. I have some planners sitting here because they're all gridded, so it just is not as pretty when you're like trying to color an image. So I hesitate to stamp right on it for that reason, but also because of the bleed through. Especially I can't Copic color because it will just bleed right through any of the TRP. I just really like this option of being able to stamp on things, and it's like opening up other doors. I've thought about this every once in a while again when I'm like, oh, I have the itch to do some card making and scrapbooking. I look at all my stamps. Like I have drawers and drawers of stamps left over because they last forever, you know? And I didn't get rid of hardly any of my stamps. I still have tons of them. So I'm having fun playing around with the inks in this one, and I kind of want to add some stamped images and stuff to some various layouts in the future. So I feel like I could do that with this little notebook.